Hello and welcome to Key Radio Live. Today we're doing yet another hype and speculation news episode, which we haven't done in a while, because Key once again is just like dropping a ton of stuff for all of us to eat. Like,
oh, it's so good. There's so much. Like,
it's crazy because we thought we were gonna have a relatively dead year. Nope.
No, that is like the rare Utori, not just Utori wrong prediction, and I'm making fun of them. I'll have to tell them about it later. They are not on tonight. Not only a wrong prediction from Utori, but like a really wrong one. So it is not going to be a dead year. There's a lot of stuff happening.
Utori thought we were going to have a dead year, but like, okay, so let's start with the relatively smallest news and the fact that this is going to be
focused on like the fan translation scene.
Yeah.
Because we have small things news to talk
with
about
like
tonight.
This is small news, but with huge asterisks. Because for fans of this series, this is a very big news.
Yes.
So, I don't know too much of the details of how it works. So, Lucio, do you want to take over for this?
All right. Yeah, I'll do this. So, one of our server members, Sep7, has created something called the Eternal Patch for 1 to the Radiant season. And what its initial purpose is just adding the 15 additional CGs from the PlayStation 1 release into the game. As the years have gone on, there have been additional convenience features added, such as being able to remove the H scenes from some of the routes, and that's the current state it's in.
Which is a very good thing, I should note.
Yeah.
I do not like one's H scenes.
One's H scenes are
not good. They're not good. I wish I didn't read some of them. So it's a good change. Very good change.
Yes. And the funny thing is, the ones that are decent, or one of the ones that's actually good, is the one you can skip in game. So, thanks. Tactics. But anyway, an additional piece to 1 to the Radiant season, though, is that in the PlayStation 1 version, there is an additional route created for a new heroine named Natsuki. And it's a shorter route. It's a little bit longer than Shun's route, but shorter than the main routes of the game.
It is very much something that was added on. Like,
yes.
And not for the record, like, Natsuki might just be one of the most obscure key game heroines, because she has only appeared in the console version, which comparatively is not that popular, even in the East. Like, in Japan, you'll rarely see any Natsuki fans. They're not common at all.
And it's funny because the version of 1 to the Radiant season that we play in English, the full voice edition from 2003, came after the PlayStation 1 version with a completely different voice cast, and also Natsuki was not included. So she is exclusive to this one obscure console port that never got a re-release that no one plays.
Yeah. Also, Ali, no, there are definitely Kano fans out there. I have genuinely not seen a single Natsuki fan, even in JP circles, and I talk to an active one.
You talk in JP circles more than I do, so you would know this.
A bit more. I mainly have one I mainly talk to one person who is a very big one fan. Like their main AVI is Mio, and she's their waifu, but no one there talks about Natsuki. Even he in his words says she's the non-existent heroine. No one knows about her.
And the reason is because I have read her route, and it is,
it's an added route.
It's an added route. It's good, but it's not amazing. But it is worth the big news is that reading. It's definitely worth reading, and definitely fits into 1. I would still put it above all of the routes in 1-2, personally.
Not a high standard.
1-2's average, but it's just a stupid name. But Natsuki's route is now translated. and we will be having it ported into the Eternal Patch version of the game at some point in the future. So,
which means we can read it on PC, which is the
in
biggest
English,
news.
yes.
In English, yes. And for those who don't know about the One Console Edition, it is what's it called? NVL?
It's an NVL and bad NVL.
And it's bad NVL. It's like very distracting. NVL. It's not like the type of it's similar to Rewrite Terra, where it just blocks out most of the characters and darkens the screen, so you can't.
Well, it darkens the screen a lot more than Rewrite Terra route, to the point where, like, to actually see the character's face, you have to hold down a button to temporarily remove the text.
Yeah, which kind of kills the visual aspect of visual novel.
Right. It's like, I don't know why this decision was made, but when you ask the developers of Pepsi Man to make a port of One to the Radiant Season, what do you expect, right?
I mean, Pepsi Man's a masterpiece, but
Bro.
Essentially, this isn't... well, that's a tangent, but essentially, not only is this a translation of the Natsuki route, not only are we seeing this heroine that barely anyone has seen the story of because she's just that obscure, but also this is the first time we can read her story in a format that isn't terrible.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
So that's something to look forward to. We will definitely mention it in the server once that update to the Eternal Patch is released. It will probably be in, I don't know, we'll have to ask Sep if it will be the final version at that point, but there's a lot to look forward to in the One community. Now, while we're here, just thinking about this, Manpig, do you think Natsuki's route is going to be included in One remake?
At this point, I am doubtful.
I am also doubtful. I do not think it will be included.
Yeah, because at this point, because what I thought was going to happen is that, because they only revealed 4 heroines at first. So I was like, okay, they're going to reveal half of the cast first and reveal the other half, including possibly Natsuki or maybe a new heroine. And no, that didn't happen. The second announcement was just 2 characters. So in the end, I'm at this point thinking more that the One remake will just have the original 6 heroines from the original visual novel, so Natsuki is once again forgotten, this time officially.
Yes.
For the second time.
Though I do think it will include Shun's route, because that was in the original.
Right.
And honestly, it's really good.
I like the Shun's route. I think it answers a lot of questions while not being expositionally answered. Like, you do have to think about it and do a bit of theory crafting, but it was fun. And also, I think Shun is a very charming character. I don't necessarily want to say great, because while I do like his personality, he, like, obviously not having a story and not having a proper arc is like, the point of Shun isn't a riveting
It's the Komura route of One.
It's more of like an explanation slash like conclusion.
It's short, but it's charming.
It's charming, yeah.
So,
and I do think he's a good boy, which also, he is technically the first male root in Key when you think about it.
Yeah, yep. And I never thought of it that way, but you are right. It is true. I'd like to see a Shun CG.
We'll have to wait until later.
In One remake.
Yeah.
So yeah, trust me, we will be having multiple episodes just focusing on One remake, but while we were talking about Natsuki, I wanted to bring it up. All right, that's the smallest piece of news down. Let's get into the 2 bigger ones.
Actually, before that, I was wondering, do we want to talk about the translations? Because I don't know if we've talked about them yet.
Which translations?
All of them. Like, the fact that Key announced translations of all the Kinetic novels.
We already have.
Okay, I just
we already have. If you're listening to the YouTube version and you're interested in that, we touched on it last week during our Loopers versus Lunaria episode, since Lunaria is one of the translations that was announced.
Gotcha.
Cool.
All right. In that case, we'll get to the second big piece of news, which is Heaven Burns Red is reaching its 1st anniversary. And along with its first anniversary, we're getting its first big event. Now, what do I mean by big event? Well, gacha games, they always have events. It's what keeps these things alive. Like there's story chapters, yes, but there are also side events that focus on specific characters or introduce new ones. And Heaven Burns Red, for the first anniversary, they're going to make a big event, and what they're doing is a collab event. Collab events are very self-explanatory. They are crossovers, and in pretty much any Mobage community, these are celebrated. Like everyone loves them. And I feel like a collab event is what draws a lot of newer fans who otherwise wouldn't play a game into a gacha game. And this especially, for instance, Fate Grand Order, whenever it collabed with older works, it got new fans interested, or got older fans interested in this newer work and got them to pick up the game, me included. And overall,
I forgot you played that actually.
I'm addicted to it, but let's not talk about that. It's a problem. But aside from that, what is so big about this one is that they, here in Heaven Burns Red, they are doing a collab for what is the first time we've gotten new content of this in ages since Kaginado Season, except Kaginado Season 2, which is a non-serious joke event. We are getting an Angel Beats collab, and this collab features 3 characters that are going to be added to the roster of Heaven Burns Red. We have obviously Angel Tenchi herself, or Kanade. We have Yuripe, and as a complete out of
what
left
the hell?
field, out of completely left field, we have Iri Miyuki, who, if you don't know who she is, I don't blame you, because she got 2 lines in. She got 2 lines in the original anime.
And she has a few hilarious scenes in First Beat, but she doesn't have a major presence in this series.
She has a minor focus in the OVA. It's not a major one. And reminder, 2 lines in the anime. And in First Beat, she's basically a side character for one of the roots, and also has a very famous gag that a lot of people who've read First Beat really love, at least from what I've seen. And
it saved that scene for me because that scene in the anime was stupid and I hate it. I mean, what?
I disagree. I think it was very funny, but because comedy is subjective, but I personally found it hilarious.
Always, yeah. Angel Beats comedy has never worked for me. Anyone who is a somewhat regular listener of this podcast knows that.
And that's fair. But basically, they took this side character and, believe it or not, more than Kanade, more than Yuripe, she's actually gonna be the focus of the event.
It's so strange.
It's surreal. Now, if you also don't know, this is a Manpig fact. Manpig's favorite Angel Beats character does just so happen to be Miyuki Ide. She is my favorite of the cast. She's very charming, and I really like her. Is there a really good reason for that? Nope. She's just one of those characters.
You're not the only one, though. Shout outs to server member Orbital Period. We don't talk about him very much on this podcast, because he's only around sometimes, but he's also a really big Irie fan.
Yeah, but basically Irie is one of those characters I met her and her best buddy Sekine for the first time, and I basically just fell in love with them. And I mean, the gag sold me even harder. That was so funny. I didn't expect it, because I just got there completely through happenstance, and I wasn't even trying. But it made me laugh on the floor. I was rolling.
That's
on
just
the
a
floor
First Beat moment. Honestly,
it's
you just
so random.
randomly come across things.
Because you're so used to Angel Beats, especially after watching the anime, that you don't expect what they add. And when they add something like Ire's very famous scene, which is arguably the scene that made her recognizable to begin with,
yes,
it sticks in your mind. And I don't know, ever since, I've always been a massive fan of her. I think she's very charming, and I've always been wondering, ever since I read First Beat, what her story would be. And I don't know if there's a god out there. If there is, the SSS is probably fighting them. But if there is a god, they sure as hell damn listen to me, because why would you focus on specifically her for an entire
okay. That's one thing where we should talk about why they picked this character. And one thing that we talked about a little bit in the pre-show is that it's possibly going to be focused on each of the Girls Dead monster cast, because you told me that you think that this will not be a singular event. Isn't that right?
Going to be a massive multi-part event.
Yes.
Or it's going to be a series of events, which are both things that have happened in Movages.
I think the latter is more likely.
And this is ultimately just theory crafting, but I personally think a series is gonna be possible, not necessarily more likely, but it's very much possible because, for one, the more characters you put in Gacha, the more money you make, and two, we don't have any other information regards of Girls Dead Monster, and you can only put so many characters on a single banner. And they've only advertised these 3 characters. I think having the 3 we see now is gonna be it for at least one banner. And at most we'll get a large event and we'll have a secret second banner, but events rarely have more than 2 banners. So in that case, if they do plan to make this a bigger thing, which we don't know, we might have a second part to the event. Or we might just not see a second banner and that will be the second part of the event. That will be the second part of the event. But the thing that we can confirm is that this event will focus on Eri and her backstory. So this is canon. This is not just a fan thing. This is canon to Angel Beats, and we'll be revealing information regarding a character that we have not gotten much information of until this very day.
I just want to point something out. Ezekiel says, to clarify, Yuri and Kanade are one banner. Irie is exchanged in the event.
Oh wait, she's the welfare. Yes!
I'm gonna have to. That's gonna be a nightmare to edit.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're okay.
For those who don't know, I don't care about rarity. I just want the things I want. And
I feel
character's the welfare. I won when I was worrying when Heaven Burns Red would eventually get translated. I would have to roll hard on her banner, but you're telling me you're giving her away for free? That's a live reaction right there. That's made me even more pumped up. I need a translation stat. But
yeah. Well, I don't know.
Down the line, I have hopes that they'll eventually work on it, especially since we have a Chinese one, and I don't know if they're making a Korean one, but they definitely have a Chinese one. But I think it's something that should happen, especially down the line. Maybe not soon, but it should happen. Once we get some staff to actually do the work for it, right? Because this is too big to not at this point. Because we're the English community, we don't have a lot of Heaven Burns Red hype because, well, none of us can read it. But in the JP community, this is probably Key's most successful work in a very, very, very long time.
Oh yeah, there's no question about that. I just think to get to the other side of this a little bit, I worry about where they're going with this, because I don't want Heaven Burns Red to just be a vessel for more Angel Beats content. And it's every time Key tries to do something new with Angel Beats, they never finish it. They the biggest one is obviously First Beat, but then obviously we got Last Operation instead, which made a lot of fans really angry. And then we got a pachinko machine for some reason. It's this is one thing that Key, stop. Put Angel Beats to rest. I don't think this needs to be here, and I don't know. Because
the big thing is, one thing that really can't be denied is that Angel Beats was popular. Like,
Was though.
it was
popular 13 years ago.
It
But
was
like
popular. And I guess because the thing is, when it comes to modern key, especially with like its newer works, it is arguably still the most popular and recognizable by a mainstream audience. A lot of Angel Beats fans aren't necessarily specifically key fans.
True.
Like, they are just anime fans who
So this is a ploy to get those people to play Heaven Burns Red.
Yes, exactly. It's trying to get those people interested, which, to be fair, Heaven Burns Red in JP, specifically JP, is already reaching that. It is reaching mainstream status. It is no longer just a key work. Like, this okay.
Right.
I don't want to call it the most popular key work, period, but it's making a pretty damn big case, at least in Japan. Like, this is reaching people. It is reaching, like,
it's
really popular people.
Gachas are popular these days.
It's gacha, and it's a very successful one. It's not just one that's gonna be thrown away, like, say, it's not gonna be like Itsubari no Alice, which is another visual arts gacha that's not key. Itsubari no Alice, it's still ongoing, but it is not popular whatsoever, I'd say.
I've never
Heaven Burns Red.
it.
Yeah, see? But Heaven Burns Red is popular. For instance, VR tubers, like virtual YouTubers, they are playing it. They are streaming this game to millions of people who are actively watching their streams. This is a massive game, and I'd think if there's one thing that can get anime fans reminded of, not necessarily get into, but remind themselves of Angel Beats, it's this. This is the closest key has gotten to mainstream, I'd say, since Angel Beats. Just, like...
I would agree with that, yeah. Like...
Yeah, because, like, key, of course, is, for visual novels, very popular. We can't deny that. Like, hell, the 20th anniversary has certainly confirmed that.
Even since Angel Beats, the only visual novel that's made like a major amount of traction outside the key community is Summer Pockets.
Yeah.
Like
and what I was going with is that in the end, as much as I hate to admit it, visual novels are a comparatively niche medium.
Of course.
A lot of people only hear of Angel Beats and Clannad when it comes to keyworks. They don't always check out everything.
They think of the anime.
They think of the anime. And Heaven Burns Red is the first time in a very long time where key has broken past niche status. This has become mainstream. So because we're getting Angel Beats back, I think we have a chance that this could bring some eyes back to this franchise. Will it succeed? Lucia doesn't think it will, which I don't blame him, considering what happened to Angel Beats in the past.
I don't necessarily think it's gonna fail. I think they're gonna drop it before it has a chance.
That's fair. That's
my prediction.
That's his protection. But I think that this is the strongest chance Angel Beats will have at becoming something big. This is like even more than First Beat, because again, First Beat was a visual novel. Not everyone reads visual novels. A lot of Angel Beats anime fans don't even know it exists. But
yes,
this is something a lot of those mainstream anime fans are checking out. This is Heaven Burns Red is massive. So because so many people are checking them out, they're much more likely to be aware of it and be reminded of this story and play the event. And if the event does well, who's to say what the limit? Because the gacha game, that's amazing funding. Like, the gacha games can alone fund entire anime adaptations, and this has happened before. Like, holy crap, Genshin Impact, like Fate Grand Order, these anime wouldn't exist without a gacha game. Like, it was basically the gacha game alone and the people wailing in it that funded these entire anime adaptations.
And Heaven Burns Red is definitely heading there. Like, it's
definitely
why, I'll be honest, it's why like I'm not gonna play it. Even if it gets an English translation, I've decided I'm not gonna play it because I am too susceptible to gambling addictions for this game.
That's totally reasonable. As much as Heaven Burns Red is very clearly a really good story, it is ultimately a gacha, and if you have issues with gambling, know your limits. Know your limits.
Yes.
That's the main thing. Obviously, if you want to play it, but know your limits.
Yeah.
That's advice I give to anyone interested in mobages, because gacha is a very big trap when it comes to spending money. It can genuinely ruin your life, so don't do that.
Yeah.
But Heaven Burns Red is succeeding, so I think this is a very big chance of also bringing Angel Beats along with it. Well, how far will it be? I don't know.
I'm laughing. Brahms posted the gif of Kotori and Kaginata with all the money.
I understand. I honestly understand Kotori so much. Money also just like is my weakness, but I think this is probably the biggest chance Angel Beats has ever had in becoming known again. Not necessarily like super popular like what it was in 2012, but this is definitely gonna bring attention to the franchise again. And I don't know, the fact that they're making new content is enough for me. Like, I basically got what I was asking for, which is backstory for my favorite character. And I think,
which, since the Angel Beats visual novel was never finished, some of them got their backstories in Heaven's Door, but Irie was not one of them, so it's nice to have it here.
Yeah, Hisako I think got in Heaven's Door or Last Operation, I think.
Hisako got Heaven's Door. Heaven's Door is the prequel. Last Operation is the reimagining that is technically not canon. Yeah, Heaven's Door gave us the three big ones are Hisako, Sheena, and Yusa, who got their backstories in Heaven's Door.
Right. Okay. So yeah. At this point, I think the minimum of what I'm expecting is
going to happen. Like,
not just going to happen. I'm thinking we're also gonna get Sekine, because when we think about it, Heaven Burns Red is a story about music, and what part of Angel Beats?
It's a major element.
It's a major element of the story. Like these characters are all in a band. It's like in Heaven Burns Red, one of the big parts of it is its incredible amount of vocal tracks. Like, it has a huge focus on music. And in Angel Beats, we have a very big band. We have backstories for literally all of Girls Dead Monsters at this point. In all forms of medium, we have Iwasawa in the visual novel and anime. We have Hisako in Heaven's Door. We have Yui, who is both in the anime and the visual novel as well. And of course, now we just have Irie and Sekine. And the fact that they're tackling Irie means that we're gonna have the last member in some form. Like, I feel like this would I genuinely feel like it would be weird if we didn't see Sekine down the line in some form. At most, it'll be a part two. At most, it'll be a part two. And if it's the part two, I wouldn't be surprised, but I am expecting at least Sekine, because it's too relevant to Heaven Burns Red's territory. It'll fit too well, and I'd like to at least have closure on one of the major groups of Angel Beats, because let's be real, a lot of fans of Angel Beats love Girls Dead Monster.
Lot of fans of Angel Beats have wanted to know specifically about these two characters for a while.
Well, yes, because they're the two members of Girls Dead Monster that haven't had any story whatsoever.
Right.
Like, Yui is obviously probably... Is it fair to say that she might be the most popular Angel Beats character, like, at least tied with Kanade? Because I feel like she is.
Not quite to the level of Kanade, but, like, to the level of Yuri, I would say.
Yeah. She's very popular.
Like, Yui didn't get a wedding ring.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on the wedding ring.
I can't deny that. I really can't deny that. But Yui is a very big character, and also when it comes to visual novel readers, one of the most popular routes in Angel Beats' first beat is the Iwasawa route. Like she has. I wouldn't say her fandom is gigantic, but it's definitely
They're very dedicated.
They're very dedicated. There's like even if it's not the majority, they
shout
are
out,
very.
Shout out to Ham I Am and Domi, who are both server members, both huge Iwasawa fans, and both really cool people.
Yeah. Shout outs to them. But yeah, Girls and Monster is a very fan favorite type of faction in Angel Beats.
Yes.
So I feel like getting all of their stories is gonna be like a huge closing book, even if it's not the entire thing. Like at this point, I'm so happy about Eri getting any focus because I lost all hope. I'm gonna be real. I had lost all my hope. The fact that we're actually getting new content for Angel Beats in 2023 is alone massive, and the fact that it's for my favorite character just makes the deal all the sweeter.
All right, shall we move on to the next big event?
The Big Mama. Okay, so
Prima Doll's Kinetic Novel.
Prima Doll's Kinetic Novel.
An episodic. The next key episodic visual novel that actually is going to get all the parts. First beat fans cope.
This one's been confirmed.
It's been confirmed, and it's also like, you know, each episode is a kinetic, which makes it cheaper to produce and, you know, less of a big juggernaut.
Project. Yeah.
So we have gotten a website, some CGs, character designs, and a plot summary for the first episode, and also a release date, which will be April 28th of this year.
Yes. And to get over what happens in the first visual novel, let's basically just like go over what we've had with Prima Doll so far. So if you remember, during release, Prima Doll was at first a web novel.
Yes.
Now, this web novel, parts of it have since been brought down, and we can't read it anymore. But the backstory segments are essentially where a lot of people got attached to these characters, me included. I got attached to Haizakura through her backstory chapter, and I'm pretty sure Utori said that Karusuba's backstory made me cry. So that's definitely something.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically this web novel is the way a lot of people got introduced to Prima Doll. But obviously, at one point, it didn't finish all of the characters. Like, it introduced all of the characters, but we didn't get to see them
once the anime was officially announced, the
web novel never
production on the web novel had completely stopped.
Yeah, but then we got the anime, which expanded on Gekka, expanded on Hokiboshi, and it expanded on Retsuru. And Can we announce this number 6? Are we allowed to talk about number 6? I don't know how far we can talk about this.
Yeah, we can mention their name, but not like story stuff, because I don't want to spoil the Prima Doll anime. Which, by the way, y'all should watch before going into the Kinetic Novel, because the anime is chronologically the beginning of the story.
At this point, yes, but we'll get to that later on.
Right.
The anime essentially is, I guess it also they do advertise her, so it's not that much of a spoiler, but there is a focus on a new character that's introduced specifically in anime called Haikagura. What she is, we can't say, because she's introduced very late game into the story, and she's basically the main thing relating to the anime's plot. But
Ali asks, so the novels are like sequels?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. It's the kind of thing where like the anime is mostly there to set up the characters and set up the world, but it does kind of have its own plot, but the plot is takes a back seat compared to the world building and the character introductions. The Kinetic Novel series is going to expand on the actual plot and the characters' backstories far deeper than the anime can, because the anime is only one core at 12 episodes.
Yeah, which is a great segue
as
into what
an
I was.
introduction, I do think the anime is the perfect place to start. It was where I started. I did not read the web novels until after the anime. So, and I think that I'm glad I did it that way, to be honest.
That's fair. I read the web novels first, and that's actually a really good segue to where we were going. Is that, remember how I said the web novels, some chapters were deleted? We found out the reason they were deleted. They're gonna be released as the first story in the kinetic novel. Now, what essentially is gonna happen is we're gonna have the same story, but now we have full realized visuals and
voice acting,
OSTs, and CGs to basically
so
just match
excited.
all of the stuff that was covered in the web novel backstories. That
have you seen the CGs? They're gorgeous. They are gorgeous.
Let's reel it back a bit because I do want to lead into them. No, it's totally okay. Hype is great, but essentially one thing we had in the web novel is we've had a lot of soft illustrations done by Fumiyun, I think. Was it Fumiyun? I think it was Fumiyun, right?
Some of them. They're done
by a
range of people.
Right. But yeah, we had like sketches essentially in the web novel that showcased certain scenes, and pretty much all of them are like directly adapted into proper full color CGs in what's going to be the visual novel.
Made by Bibury. Bibury's doing visual novel CGs. This is weird. What timeline is this?
Kind of, yes, but also not entirely.
Right.
The art is done by Bibury, but a lot of the coloring and stuff is going to be done by Key's regular staff.
In-house, yeah.
Yeah, in-house.
But it's a collaboration. Bibury is involved in the visual novel, which is weird.
Yeah,
and
hang on.
Awesome.
Let me see if I can just bring up Prima Doll's web novel real quick, but I don't know if I can. For the time being, you can check out the kinetic novel first information in the link I provided in the chat. So let me see if I can just dig back the web novels because
while you're doing that though, I could just like kind of go through this website a little bit. We have character introductions for Haizakura, Karasuba, Nagi, who is going to be important here, and Otome. It looks like we are going to have Usami, who, for those of you who have read the web novel, would know who she is, but she is a character who is not in the anime. And then in terms of actual releases, there's a physical release which will have some prints, and some very gorgeous ones of Haizakura and Karasuba, which I am too embarrassed to put on my wall, but I will be happy to own them anyway.
They're on Sen CGs, you know, the good stuff.
Yeah, and also
I want the Karasuba one. What?
Right, like, and also a downloadable release as well. But unlike the previous 3 kinetics, there's only 1 physical release instead of 2. So it's going to be a little bit different, and I'm guessing it will like be in a box set once we get all 4 episodes of the kinetic novel series. Currently the plan is for episodes 1, 2, and 3 to release this year and 4 to release next year. I have my doubts about this timeline. I do not think it's going to work out that way, but hey, one can dream, right?
We'll see as we go on. Okay, so I don't have any direct conversion images of the Prima Doll web novel art versus the actual art, but essentially what I can show is like just general art that from the 2 pieces. So this is from what's the original web novel, and this is essentially what we have in the visual novel. So more detail, color, and just like it generally looks just breathtaking. I was trying to look for the original version of this CG because there is like a direct version of this CG in that other style. Yes, that That is exactly what I was looking for. I couldn't find it, but thank you very much. Basically,
Yeah.
we're getting a lot of these CGs or graphics drawn as like proper
Actual
visual novel
CGs.
graphics with like budget and color. It's look gorgeous and oh my god.
Speaking of, let's talk about the backgrounds.
The backgrounds, oh my god.
The backgrounds
yes.
are, I would say, like, from what I have seen so far, the Prima Doll Kinetic Novel has the potential to be Key's best ever in terms of backgrounds and possibly art as a whole. If I'm being honest, this one in particular of the street lights and the snow is one of the prettiest things I have seen in my life.
I don't know about ever, but I do agree that it is really good. Like, this has incredible atmosphere and is just generally very pretty. And here's the other background we have. It's like the detail in this. And
yeah, it's not like photographs thrown through a paint filter like we're used to. It
is very pretty. Like,
it's bigger than that.
Yeah, these look like wallpapers, but they're
I have the one I just shared. It is my wallpaper right now.
I don't blame you. Yeah, these are very pretty and just straight up drop dead gorgeous. And okay, I don't want to put too much time on the anime because I do like the anime, but as good as the anime was, this world is so much more beautiful in visual novel format. Holy crap.
Well, yeah, you could obviously you're going to be able to put a lot more detail into a visual novel because there's just fewer
there's nothing to animate.
Right.
But yeah, because I feel like this has a lot of the atmosphere and the world. It like all the detail, the texturing, the colors, they immerse you so much better into Prima Doll's world, which is, in my opinion, one of Key's most unique and interesting settings. Like
100%. I talked about this on Battle of the Works when I was defending Prima Doll. This 1910s.
It's the Showa era.
Steampunky Showa era. Yeah.
Yes, the Showa era of Japan. It reminds me of something like Violet Evergarden. And it's just drop dead gorgeous. Like, it is absolutely beautiful, and just the way the art brings out this world makes me even more excited to dive back into it again for the second time. Because, oh my god. And
we will.
Do we know anything about the other novels, or is the first novel all we know so far?
Here's what we know. I believe this is what we know, is that the second and third novels will also be shorter and character focused, and the fourth novel is going to be a lot longer than the others, which will kind of be the end to the Prima Doll story.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So I believe that is what we know. Like, the first one that we're getting this April will be focusing on Haizakura and Karasuba. And then we will get the backstories, or deeper versions of the backstories not explored in the anime, of the other characters in future events. That is a relatively safe prediction, but...
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And we're also getting, I think, Karasuba is getting her release of a figure, and do we have Gekka? I'm pretty sure we do.
I think all of them have figures now, except for maybe Retzel.
Oh. I actually didn't know about a Hokiboshi one, but I'm not complaining.
I think Hokiboshi has one. I might be wrong on that.
That's very good.
Yes.
We'll check in the future, but for the time being, I'm excited. Prima Doll looks like to be continuing its banger streak, and I just want these Kinetic novels to be like, I want them to be the best part of the franchise, because they definitely look like they are a contender for that, at least in terms of atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
Okay, so I haven't read Karasuba's backstory, because I'm pretty sure Utori is the only one in this server. Actually, no, it's Utori and a few JP readers who have read.
I think Sep has read it also.
Okay, so Sep has read it.
I'll have to ask him later.
Okay, so basically, when it comes to me, at least, the point I was getting at is, when it comes to currently right now in this podcast, we don't have anyone that's able to talk about Karasuba's story properly. But I can talk about Haizakura's story. And
Yes.
Haizakura's story is personally one of like my highlights of Prima Doll. Like I really liked it, and it was what
I have
made
just
me...
started it, and it's like and then I stopped because I realized that the KN was going to be the same thing. So I'm like, I'll just experience it for the first time that
You'll
way.
wait for the better version. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, what sold me on Prima Doll was Haizakura's backstory, and I don't want to overhype it, but I personally really liked it. And I think a lot of what's built up from that Kinetic novel, that web novel, will translate really well into Kinetic novel. But there is one thing I am a bit concerned about, and that's mainly length. Ultimately, the web novels are not long, and I'm not even talking about like Kinetic novel 3-hour length long. I'm talking about like I read Haizakura's full backstory in like an hour maximum, and that was like with really bad translations, and I was like doing a lot of Googling and interpreting.
So
it's not very long. It's like I think it's like 5 parts at maximum. So yeah, I'm wondering if the text will be modified a bit to make it a bit longer.
I think that is likely. Just to throw out some like predictions, my guess for this thing's length is that it's going to be 6 to 7 hours. I think it's going to be longer than Harmonia, but shorter than Loopers, shorter than the 3 new Kinetic novels.
I'm not so sure, but that also might just because I already have pre-existing expectations of it.
So you think it's going to be like Harmonia length or shorter?
I don't know. Because I feel like unless they do any modifications, it will at best be 3 hours. Unless they do modifications.
That's what I'm saying. I think there is going to be modifications.
Yeah.
Because like, is it true that like, because based on what I've seen of the web novels, Otome and Nagi are not present in it at all.
They are present.
Oh, they are.
They're just not named. They're not like central. I don't.
Well, they're main characters in the first episode of the.
That is true. That is true.
Like to the point that they are
in Karasuba's. I'm pretty sure Nagi does appear in Karasuba's story at least, but he's not been named at that point. And
right.
The anime was the time a lot of us learned about Nagi's everything
relationship with Karasuba. Like,
well, not necessarily the relationship with Karasuba. I think because the Karasuba backstory was the backstory of her relationship with Nagi. I don't think he was just named yet. Like he was just a person. I don't know. I don't know the details. I could be dead wrong. Because as I said, we don't have any experts here that have read Karasuba's story.
Right. Well, like from what I've read of the web novel so far, it's already said that the owner of the Black Cat Cafe, who we know from the anime as Nagi, is away. He's not there during the time the web novel takes place. Mm-hmm. And Karasuba is managing the cafe in his place. So what it's going to be like in the Kinetic novel? I honestly don't think so. I think they are going to change that, and Nagi is going to be present for more of the story, because honestly, he was actually kind of popular in the anime. From the people I've talked to who watch the anime, Nagi's actually one of the more well-liked key boys. And key boys tend to get a lot of flack because the company is obviously about the girls, so the guys all get put under a microscope, and honestly, everyone's trying to fill the shoes of the little Busters boys.
Yeah.
Nagi doesn't fill those shoes.
The main characters, of course.
Right. He's a very different kind of character and was relatively well received. So I think they're going to do some modifications to put him in more of the story.
Mm-hmm. I welcome it, because I'm a big fan of
Ezekiel checked, I'll have a correction. No Hokiboshi figure, just Gekka, Karasuba, and Haizakura.
Okay, so
thank you for checking that for me, Ezekiel.
Alright, so there is a Gekka figure coming out. We'll have to wait for a Hokiboshi one. I want one. But Yeah, so essentially, I do think that's a possibility. Just increasing Nagi's screen time could be a huge thing that increases
Yes.
the length. But I don't know how big we'll actually get to see the slice of life bits of the web novel because it's mainly the backstories, right, that we're seeing in the kinetic novel.
All we know is that it will have the backstories and that they are the focus, but I still suspect there is going to be more to it than that, considering we see Usami in one of the CGs, the one of her and Haizakura staring up at the aurora.
Is that Usami? I'm pretty sure that's not.
Is it not? I thought it was Usami.
No. That's a character from Haizakura's backstory.
Oh, okay, never mind. I take it back then. So
Usami has brown hair.
Usami might not be in the KN at all. Then we don't know then.
Yeah, because
so you might be right. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, this character I don't remember her name because I haven't read the web novel in a long time. Like, oh my god, it's been over a year. What?
Didn't you read it when it first dropped?
I read it when I first dropped and never again.
Yeah.
I think it's been over a year. Holy crap! What?
Yep.
That's scary. But yeah, this is a character that is relevant to only Haizakura's backstory.
Got it.
Okay. And she never appears in the franchise again afterwards. I don't know if she will, but she does only appear in, well, at least when it comes to what we know so far, she only appears in Haizakura's backstory.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. You want to do do you want to do a left field prediction? Because I have one.
I'm not good at predictions.
All right. Well, I always like for every time we've talked about a new work, I have thrown out a left field prediction. I did one for Loopers that it was going to do some weird things with the title screen. That was wrong. I predicted that Lunaria's Meow Meowth was something in the real world. That was wrong. I predicted that Stella of the End would have more characters than what were announced. That was technically right, but not to the extent that I thought it was. So I would say I'm like 0.5 for 3 on these predictions. So I have a really good rating here.
Excellent track record.
We'll
get it one day. Third time's a charm.
So here's my left field prediction for the Prima Doll Kinetic Novel, and we won't know if I'm right or not until next year. My prediction is that the 4th and final episode is going to be a time skip of 50 to 100 years later in modern times.
You know what? I can actually fully see that.
And the reason I'm saying that is because the Prima Dolls, as we know, are robots, and a lot of them have been around for that long already. But it is very strange that we are having a story in Showa era. And I think there's more to it than just an aesthetic change, because key stories always have some level of relevance to them. And like Prima Doll, even just in the anime, has some relevance to its messages, but I think they're going somewhere big with this story, and I think it's going to have a time skip to the modern day after either society has collapsed or the Prima Dolls are no longer relevant and looking for their purpose in the world. But that's going to be my left field prediction. I give it like a 81% chance that I'm right. And given my track record, I think that's a pretty safe assumption there. So,
okay, what I will say is whether or not it's correct, I want to see that. I actually think that's very, very cool as an idea, and it also works very well because we know these mechanical dolls, as you said, they don't age. What happens like when hundreds of years in the future the world has changed and just society works different? How would they react, and would they be relevant anymore? That's actually very interesting to think about.
That's where I think they're going with like the robot part of this show, because like every key robot series besides Prima Doll gets deep into robotics, for better or worse, in my opinion. Prima Doll doesn't really do that, and I think that's strange. I think they're going to, just in a different way as the robot trilogy, so to speak.
Well, we shall see.
We shall see. We will come back to this episode once all of them have released, but we will definitely be doing another episode after just for the first one. We will have Utori back on for that one, where the three of us talk about our impressions, as we've done with every new key release since...
At this point, it's a tradition.
Since Loopers, yeah.
Yep.
Or no, since Lunaria. We didn't do it for Loopers, because that was like, I read it late.
Right.
All right, that's all I have.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it. We've gotten, I think, about an hour length, so that's a pretty good length for a news episode.
Just what we need.
That's pretty much all we have to say with what we got so far. And
thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here. I can't wait for the content. I hope the One remake's gonna bang. I hope the Heaven Burns Red event's gonna bang. I hope I hope we get the new news in like 2 months, because then we'll have a new visual novel. That's crazy.
Yes. Oh boy.
I am so excited. I really want new game. Yummy.
All right. See y'all. Oh, by the way, next week, Battle of the Works will continue. We will, Utori will be back, and the two of us are going to do Air versus Snow that week. So if you loved Air and are interested in something like it, definitely come to that episode, because there will not be any spoilers, but it will kind of help you to know that, hey, Snow is very close and you can get some things you like out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be there in the comments, and I think everyone should also give the Snow a shot if you like Air. It's pretty damn good.
It's really good. All right, that's all for me. Good night, everyone.
Good night.